Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to SeanTMac's NFL pick6, where I, SeanTMac, give you 6 games that I believe will win against the spread. I don't work for a sports app or a casino, and I don't condone gambling. And like my father used to say, never bet with the rent money. Make sure the cat's fed. Forget about it. Let's get started. If you're just joining us, most of you already know that the NFL regular season is over with, so we are in the second round of the playoffs. The wild card matches are over with. And yes, yours truly got his head handed to him this week. I gotta admit, first time ever doing this platform like this here and a few other places over the years. Never, ever have I gone 0-6. So, is it a wake up call? Yeah, it's the new NFL, as my friend would put it. Things have changed, okay? And now you gotta tweak your game a little bit. You know, for other things that can happen. Now, it is football, fumbles, extra points, penalties. We know how that goes. So, I'm not gonna bore you with all that nonsense. But you have to be more alert because these games are 10 times the intensity of a regular season game. With that said, 0-6, I hope never to face that nightmare again. So let's try to bounce back this week. And there's only 4 games, okay? So let's try to go 4-0. That'd be nice. First game up, Bills at the Broncos. The Broncos will be favored by 1.5 as of today. Remember, always check the points before you commit to anything. As of today, the Broncos will be favored at home, 1.5. They had the bye week, so they're well rested. The Bills just beat up on the Jacksonville Jaguars last week. Okay, Josh Allen, we'll start with them first. He's playing like Josh Allen. He does what he has to do, whatever it takes to help his team out. And that's what he did last week because they wouldn't lighten up the joint either. Okay. With that said, he's got a good running back with Cook back there, Shakir, his receiver with Coleman, and not to mention Knox and Kincaid, the tight ends. It's a very good duo, by the way, and can pick up a lot of yards. The offensive line is not bad. I mean, they do the right thing. They're pretty experienced. Okay, they've been through the trenches numerous times in the playoffs. They've been down this road before. That's why I think it's important that the Bills make that run for it this year. Okay, we'll get into that some other time. But if they're going to make a run for the Super Bowl, this is the year to do it. And we all know the analytics and all that nonsense about, well, Mahomes is not playing this year and Lamar and all that. Just focus on themselves, play their game like they have over the years, and hopefully get the W, correct? Isn't that the key? So we got the receiving core there. As for the defense, the pressure up front's okay. Now, Joey Bosa was brought to this team for that, to put that pressure on the outside as a defensive end and, make some sacks. He didn't show up last week, or he just wasn't that big of a deal, if you know what I mean. They contained him pretty decent. But he has to show up this week against Bo Nix because this kid will be running. All right. A good thing for the Buffalo Bills is that they get Ed Oliver back this week. He helps the run game more. They're not bad against the pass, but against the run, look, man, they've been ranked in the high 20s pretty much all year. I think they're 28, 29 this year. I mean, so far at this time against the run. You're not going to get very far like that. Okay, now Ed Oliver's back. That'll help him a little bit, but he's only one guy. The whole team has to come together. Like I said, the pressure up front's not bad, but Joey Bosa really got to get his head out of his you-know-what and start putting on some more pressure. With that said, we go to the Broncos. Let's start with Bo Nix first. As I like to call him, the Scrambler. Reminds me of Fran Tarkenton back in the days with Minnesota. We're going way back. Just doesn't like to stay in the pocket for whatever reason. I don't know if you don't trust his offensive line or what, but I don't know. I don't know what he's drinking before the game to make him do all that. But listen, the offensive line is good enough to give him the time. And that's what kind of bothers me. Why are you scrambling if you don't have to? I understand looking downfield, trying to make things happen. He's going to get himself jammed up with this. Sooner or later, he's going to come out of that pocket and someone's going to key on him and hurt him. Because once you get out of that pocket, you ain't got no help. You ain't got no defense to protect you from getting hit by some of these guys. With that said, you still have Harvey in the backfield excellent running back. Receivers Sutton and Franklin, of course, and then tight ends of Ingram and I believe it's Troutman. All right, so not a bad offensive core there. They can put up some points. The defense is big for them. All right, they're top three against the run. The pass, of course, great pressure on the outside. Blitz happy, for sure. You're going to see a lot of blitzing. They're going to be coming after Josh Allen, which, in my opinion, actually works in his favor. Because once he runs by you, he's gone. He's a fast guy, 6'6", 200-something pounds. He's pretty quick. The defense, again, is just, let's put it this way. The linebackers are fast enough to help put the pressure on, the quarterback, to do the blitzes, contain the run out of the backfield and whatnot. It's the secondary that they play a lot of man-for-man kind of coverage, and I think they're going to have a hard time against Shakir and his other receiver because they're pretty quick. So if that pressure is not elevated almost every possession, or they're not continuously to do that, these kids are going to get free, especially Shakir. He's fast, and he'll cut you to shreds. Okay, so I don't see a high-scoring game. I'm not going to say it's going to be a defensive game. I see it in the trenches. I see where you're going to see both lines doing their best to give the quarterbacks the time they need. And Josh Allen is going to do his thing, put on his little red cape, and be Superman. And I think they're going to prevail. I really do. Even though the Broncos are favored by 1.5, I still feel that the Bills, with the experience and on the front line, quarterback, running back, the whole crew, and having Joey Bosa put some pressure on and have this other guy back, Oliver, to help the run, I think they'll maintain and keep this close to the point where I feel they're going to win the game. Okay, so with that said, I'm going with the Bills as the underdog here. Denver's 1.5 favorites. I'm going with the Bills. Next up, we have 49ers at Seattle. Here, Seattle will be 7-point favorites at this time. All right, they had faced each other during the season. In the beginning of the year, the 49ers got the best of them, but I really don't count the first 3 or 4 games of the season anyway, because to me, it's just an extension of the exhibition, if you know what I mean. Everybody's still getting the position, filling things out and all that. But a couple of weeks ago, when they faced Seattle, they faced the real Seattle team. All right, and if you saw what happened, Seattle they just stopped them in their tracks. I think the final score was like 13-3, 16-3 or something like that. The 49ers had nothing for them. And the problem this time is, even though Purdy is doing his thing since he's come back from injury and keeping his team afloat, okay, he's working his magic. His offensive line, they're giving him protection he needs, but how much, they just seem to break after 2 or 3 seconds. And Purdy is not the most fastest and elusive guy as a quarterback. You understand what I'm saying? You got McCaffrey back there. We know that. He's the workhorse. All right, look for him to get the ball 25, 30 times a game. No Kittles. All right? He's out. He hurt himself last week. That's it. He's done. And that's huge. Okay? Not only that, Prasal as well was on limited practice this week. Okay? He is a probable question mark for Sunday's game. It might be a game time decision if that affects any decisions you make with these games. But you still have Jennings. He's a wideout. He's a great threat. He's fast. He's elusive, quick, all that. So they still have a couple of weapons. Now it's up for some of the guys coming off the bench to do their job. It's a hell of a spot to be put in the playoffs against Seattle. But, hey, that's what you get paid for. The defense, nothing to brag about here, okay? They've had a lot of injuries off and on this season, all right? But to me, they're a defense where, and I said this about a few NFL teams, they go where the offense goes. So if they feel that they have a chance to compete in that game or win that game, they'll put up a decent fight. But they can be beat on the run and on the pass. I believe they're ranked 20th overall in terms of complete defense, which is not very good. Okay, so they will give up some points. Let's go to the Seahawks side of the ball. Sam Darnold. If he does what he's supposed to do, and that goes for everybody basically, but in his case, stay in the pocket, use the weapons you have, use those running backs, Charbonnet and Walker. They can run, they can catch, they're very smart, they know how to get open, all right, and they're pretty damn quick. And Sam Darnold doesn't decide to venture outside the pocket for no reason and start chucking that ball downfield, because we know what happens when he's done that. And as for his accuracy, when that happens, it's not very good. He got some gifts here and there, but for the most part, he's not a Bo Nix. He's not a Drake May or Mahomes or anybody like that. Stay in the pocket unless you really, really have to get out. The passing, of course, they have Nijaba. I hope I said his name right. Shaheed, and of course, Cooper Kupp, the veteran. That really helps. And they got AJ Burner. Let me say that name right, as a tight end. He's outstanding. Defense. Hey, man, they check all the boxes. All right. They're like 10th or 11th against the pass. They give up maybe 190, 195 yards a game, which isn't terrible considering most teams give up anywhere from 250 above. So they can hang with that. They're top 3 in the run, so they can contain that as well. Not too many faults there, if you know what I'm saying. And by the way, they have not lost a home playoff game in 20 years. Okay? Have not lost a home playoff game in 20 years. Okay, you're like, well, what, they played 2 games? No, actually, I think it was more like 9 or 10. It could be 11. All right, but they've never lost at home in 2 decades. Now, that's something to think about. So, tough place to play. That 12th man, that crowd, those fans, yeah, they can make a lot of noise. And it could cause problems for the 49ers. All right. So here we got the 49ers. They will have Trent Williams back, which is good for Purdy on the offensive line. He's huge. He's a Pro Bowler. All right. Can't take nothing away from him. He will be sort of a security blanket for Purdy. Maybe give him that extra second, too, that he needs. But without Kittles, you're over the middle threat. And you got Jennings on the sideline. You know they're going to double team him. So we're looking for McCaffrey to get the ball, 30, 35 times? And you better hope he don't get hurt. And the defense, the best way to put it is suspect. All right. Here you get the Seahawks. Sam Darnold plays the game. Don't lose the game, so to speak. Be the game manager. There's nothing wrong with that. Forget about the highlights and all that nonsense. Play your game. They're favored by 7 at home. I see no reason why Seattle does not win by 7 or more. So with that, I'm taking the Seahawks to shut down the 49ers and cover the points. Next up, we have Texans at New England. Right? Texans beat the Steelers last week. Well, that was dismal. And the Patriots beat the Chargers. Even that game was pathetic. I mean, all these games really were not fun to watch, honestly. It was just like, you know what I mean? It was just nothing was going right. Like what they say, what's supposed to happen. Some of you know what I'm talking about. With that said, though, Texans, hey, man, 10 straight wins. They're getting it done. They're marching forward, even though we pretty much know it's that awesome defense they got. We'll start with the offense first for the Texans. All right. C.J. Stroud, man, he's one of the most accurate passers in the NFL. No question about it. He does like to stay in the pocket. He's not really a scrambler, but he needs his time. And anytime he gets rattled or feels or starts hearing things, he gets rattled. As you saw last week, what was it? He fumbled the ball like 4 or 5 times. You know, he looked like Shaky Jake back there. I don't know what was going on. So the pressure that the Pats are going to put on him is real. All right? They're one of the best at it. So he better have his head on straight. Okay? But C.J. Stroud, that's a problem for me. Like I said, he's got Marks in the backfield. I think he ran over 100 yards last week. He's probably the only plus pretty much on the offense as well. They got Chubbs. You know, he's the workhorse, of course. receiver Kirk, who had an outstanding game last week, Higgins, and an outstanding tight end, Schultz, always seems to be in the right place at the right time. The defense, we can't even say nothing bad about it, really. I mean, honestly, they did it like across the board, number one damn near in everything. All right, and deservingly so. And they're consistent. But like I've been saying all season, if you're out there too long, you know what's going to happen. You're going to get tired. You're going to make mistakes. Even though they're great at tackling, the pressures up front is outstanding. The end rush is phenomenal. Very good sideline passes. Those cornerbacks and safeties are very athletic and very quick. I do see a weakness in the middle. Okay, and you'll know what I'm talking about when you hear one of the statistics, if you go by that, that they're one of the worst at containing quarterbacks on the run. Okay, so that means up the middle. That means all the pressure's coming in from the outside or whatnot, and the running backs, the quarterbacks is taking off and running. So that might be a problem for them. Okay, and we all know Drake May likes to run. I think he ran for like 60, 70 yards last week against the Chargers. But with that said, you can't take anything away from the defense. Is it going to be a letdown game for them? It hasn't happened, really. But maybe about 9 weeks ago, 10 weeks ago. But they really got together. And as long as they're healthy, this is going to be a tough one. The Patriots will be at home. They will be 3-point favorites. It was 2.5. It's now 3. Like I said, watch the points before you make commitment. We know about Drake May already. He looks good out there. He looks poised. His offensive line is not shabby either. And they give him the time he needs to do what he's got to do. Now, I don't know what happened last week. They gave up 5 sacks. Drake May got sacked 5 times. That offensive line was getting some good pressure from the Chargers' defensive line, who are very good. Texans are probably even better. Better also from the outside pass rush. So that's going to take away anything Drake May wants to do, run outside and whatnot. But that's not what he does. He runs up the middle, and he does it a lot. So that might cause some problems for the Texans. You got Henderson and Stevenson in the backfield. Henderson's like the main guy, but it seems like Stevenson's been having better games lately, running the ball. As for the receiving core, you got Driggs and Booty and Hunter Henry. Come on, man. You hear that name every week like it's just normal. You know what I mean? The defense, not shabby either. Great pressure up front. They keep teams under about 23, 24 points a game. I think only one time this year where they might have gave up 27 or 30 or whatnot. But other than that, very good containment, very good pressure, and the secondary's not too shabby either. In fact, yeah, here it is. Very good top 10, top 11. You know what I'm saying? But to me, even if you have the ranked number 1 defense, 2, 3, whatever the case may be, teams are going to find ways to score on you. If you got good coaching, good players, guys who know how to break routes, get open, I don't care what kind of defense you got. Everything can break. So with that said, the Patriots will be favored by 3 points over the Texans. Is the Texans going to continue that run? Is their defense going to save them again? Or will C.J. Stroud? You know, these are all questions you have to ask yourself, especially in the playoffs, because you know it's one game and you're gone. There's no, well, we can work on it for the following. There is none of that. Unless you escape that and with a win and you can move on and you can work on the other problems. Patriots have not really blown anybody away by any means. They have won 14 in the last 15 games. Consistency, yada, yada. That's the game. Now, with that said, though, I do believe it's going to be close. Close for the simple fact of the Texas defense. I don't think they're going to have a bad letdown or nothing like that. It's going to be really close. I mean, towards the end. That's how I see it. I'm going to go with the underdog Texans. I believe the Patriots will win, probably by the skin of their teeth. Okay? But I'm going with the Texans as the underdog here. Patriots are favored by 3. Over the Texans, I'm taking the Texans to cover. And then finally, we have the Rams at the Bears. Rams beat the Panthers last week, although they looked like they were trying to lose the game. You know what I mean? And the Bears beat the Packers. Phenomenal comeback. I can't take nothing away from Chicago. They were down, 21-3, 21-6. That fourth quarter, they caught the Packers sleeping. And listen, the quarterback for the Packers, Love, he played his game. You know, he was off for a couple of weeks. I know it takes some time to kick back in and all that, but you don't have that. And as a veteran quarterback, as time goes on, you have to be ready all the time. He looked a little out of sorts. In the beginning, he looked okay, like he was just following what he was supposed to do. But to me, he looked like he was tight. You understand what I'm saying? He didn't look like he was enjoying himself or confident enough. And, well, we saw what happened in the fourth quarter. But let's start with the Rams first. The Rams will be favored by 3.5 points, again, at Chicago. And mind you, it's going to be cold. 16, 17 degrees cold, breezy. The wind is supposed to be a problem. It can hurt the game. But the question is, who's it going to hurt most? Now, Matthew Stafford with the Rams has a strong arm. And he has the experience, 15, 16 years in. He's played in games like this. He's got a great coach. He does have a problem with his throwing finger, though. His index finger. He hit on a helmet last week and whatnot. So will that affect the way he throws the ball? Well, being an amateur QB back in the days, yeah, it does. Because that's the finger that you kind of direct the ball with. Some people use the back of the thumb. I used to use the thumb on the side. And my index finger, was kind of the directional, if you know what I'm saying. It didn't seem to bother him too much. We'll see what happens this week. He said he's good to go, and I believe him. I don't think he'd put his team in harm's way just because of his finger. Now, they're going to tape it up or something. We all know about his weapons. Nakua, Adams, Smith, all right, Parkinson and Ferguson are the receivers, of course. Tight ends. Williams is in the backfield, along with Corum. The defense, and I've had my words about their defense over the last few weeks. The pressure up front is not like it was 6-7 weeks ago. It seems like they took a step back. And I had also said that the linebackers were slow. And what I mean by that is when you do over-the-middle patterns or you get a step on these guys, they're not catching you. They are just basically slow. So they pretty much have to get you at that spot. So look for a lot of pass interference because I can see them trying to make up that step and getting there too quickly. That can hurt them in the long run with these penalties start piling up. Not bad secondary. They'll keep you in the game. They'll do their job. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. And now we're going to go to Chicago side, and this is why I wouldn't worry about it too much. First of all, Caleb Williams, congratulations to him. Phenomenal job. If I hear that saying again about they're ahead next year and all that other nonsense, they're in the playoffs. They're in the second round. Let's move on from that. The here and now. That's what counts. Not about next year. All right? When you lose, you worry about next year. Anyway, thumbs up to Caleb Williams. He looked like he was just learning the mechanics early in the season. He looks a lot more poised now and confident. That being said, he still doesn't have a great completion average, number one, and the passing ratio, if you want to go by that. And the reason is, he still looks to me like there's some baby steps he's still taking there when he releases the ball. When he has a touch on the ball, he's on the money. I've watched it the last 4 or 5 games. When he uses that touch and he's poised, he's dangerous. But when he gets frustrated and it gets in his head, he starts doing that, forcing the ball, trying to light it up, throwing too hard, overthrowing, underthrowing. He's got to stay poised Give him the time, of course, that's important, and he'll be fine. He can make a lot of connections. And if he just gets to that point by next year, if we want to go that route, I think he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. With that said, though, he's got a good backfield with Swift and Manungai. That guy Manungai is starting to be something else, ain't he? Receiver core, Moore, and Adunzo, correct? And, of course, the tight end Loveland. Here comes the problem with the Chicago Bears. Defense. I know they look like they have a great defense because they're winning these games, but let's face it, their claim to fame was takeaways. Trying to punch the ball out of your hand, fumbles, turnovers, and whatnot. You're not always going to get those breaks. Okay, so you got to stay on that field and you got to contain. They just can't seem to do that. They're passing. Their defense against the pass is somewhere above 28. They are not very good, and they're not very good against the run. Decent pressure up front. All right, they'll keep Matthew Stafford on his toes. But with that said, though, the Bears, maybe the rain and the cold, whatnot, will help them out a little bit. Turnovers, yeah, of course, that's going to help. Takeaways, sure. Williams stays calm, does what he has to do. Nice touch on the ball. It'll be a competitive game. But I'm going to go with the experience. I'm going to go with the feeling that I felt, I would say, second month of the season, that the Rams, I said this about Jacksonville too, and look what happened to them, right? They will find a way to win this game. The question is, will they be able to cover 3.5 points? Yeah, I do believe so. In fact, I think it's been a nice run by Chicago. If they win, hey, God bless them. Hey, go Chicago, right? Even though I like Detroit better, but I just see the Rams covering the point spread, 3.5 points. I see Matthew Stafford will dissect this defense, this secondary. All right, Caleb Williams, Manungai, Swift, they're going to have to make up a lot of ground to go blow for blow with this Rams offense. It's only 3.5 points at this time. It may change tomorrow or the next day. In fact, I think out of respect, it should have been 6.5. But they always give like the home team, especially if they made it this far, 3 points. They take 3 points away, so to speak. I would think it's 6.5. And I see the Rams winning by 7. Okay. So with that said, I'm going with the Rams, the favorite, on the road against Chicago, in cold Chicago, to cover. So let's go over our picks real quick. And I know I'm rushing things a little bit here, but a little bit of a flood here yesterday, so I'm trying to catch up to everything going on. Okay, first game, Bills at the Broncos. Broncos favored by 1.5. Josh Allen, Bo Nix, veteran, young stud coming up with a great coach, good team. What do you go with the veterans? Yeah, I'm going to go with the veterans. I'm going to go with Buffalo to continue marching on, possibly to the Super Bowl, and cover that 1.5. So there you have it. Broncos 1.5 favorites. I'm going with the underdog, Buffalo Bills. Then we have the 49ers at Seattle. Seahawks should be 7-point favorites. That's a lot, right? You're like, oh, it's the 49ers. It's not the same team. And I'm going to be unless a miracle happens. I know they've won with Kittles before without him, but you need him for this game. Okay? You're going to have to stay, again, blow for blow with the Seahawks team because they're not going to let up. They're going to run on you, throw on you. They're going to pound you into the ground. And if you can't go blow for blow, a.k.a. a couple of weeks ago, even though Seattle didn't blow them out of the water, they did what they had to do. They said, listen, we can beat this team by 3 points or 30. It doesn't matter. I feel the same way here. All right, so with that said, I'm taking the Seahawks to win by 7 over Purdy and the 49ers. Then we have the Texans at New England. The Patriots will be favored by 3. I know a lot of you are probably saying, wow, man, C.J. Stroud and Drake May, they're going to light it up. Texas defense, dangerous. Patriots defense, not shabby. Both quarterbacks, not bad either. Although Stroud, shaky Jake back there, if he can contain himself, it should be a close one. And I'm talking about close. I'm talking about 1 or 2 points. I'm taking the Texans as the underdog here to cover that 3 points that the Patriots are giving them. Next up, we have the Rams at the Bears. Rams will be 3.5-point favorite at Chicago. We can't be too impressed the way the Rams have won or played, for that matter, in the last 4 or 5 weeks. Maybe they got a little ahead of themselves, knowing that they pretty much locked up the division. They weren't going to win it. Let off the gas a little bit. Hey, man, they almost tripped over themselves last week against Carolina. And Carolina was not playing well. Okay, you cannot do that. You cannot do that against the Bears, even though the defense is fair to Midland, if you know what I'm saying. But Caleb Williams, watch that touch. If he's on and he gets the time, he's going to put up some points. All right, that Benunga guy in the backfield, too. He's dangerous. But with that said, Rams are 3.5-point favorites over the Chicago Bears. I'm going with the Rams. There's our 4 games. I wish everybody luck, a safe weekend. I will see you next week. And don't forget, make sure the cat's fed. Thank you.